At 5:47 a.m., I turned onto my access road and slammed the brakes so hard my coffee hit the windshield because a steel gate had appeared overnight, chained shut across land my family had used for decades. At 8:03, I got a violation email from the Homeowners Association saying I had attempted unauthorized entry. By 6:40 that evening, their president looked me in the eye and said, almost smiling, "We control this road now, and we decide who gets through." My name is Ethan Cole, and I live on the edge of Maple Creek, Oregon. That road is not a shortcut, not a favor, not a handshake deal. It is a recorded easement tied to my parcel with county book and page numbers older than Willow Grove Hills itself. My dad used that road for everything. Feed runs lumber deliveries, generator fuel in winter, fire brake checks in August. And one January when he pulled 3 stranded SUVs out after freezing rain. Then Willow Grove Hills got built behind the tree line. New homes, stone entry signs, neat lawns, rulebook energy, and eventually a homeowners association that started small, then learned to flex. The person doing most of that flexing was Karen Whitmore, board president. Beige blazer, perfect bob haircut, clipboard in one hand, key ring in the other, and a tone that sounded polite right up until you noticed it was a threat. The first morning at that gate, a contractor stood inside the chain line pretending he couldn't hear my questions. I asked who authorized the install, and he gave me one sentence, HOA directive. I asked for permit paperwork. He shrugged, sipped his coffee, and said, "Talk to the board." So I called the Homeowners Association office from my truck. "Hold music transfer then," Karen picked up with a warm voice like we were discussing book club snacks. I said, "You blocked my legal access road." She said access has been temporarily suspended pending community safety review. I told her, "You can't suspend a county-recorded easement." She replied calm and crisp, "If you interfere with association property, penalties may escalate." 10 minutes later, I received the first PDF notice, then another, then a third by lunch, each one using the same phrase, association-controlled corridor. It was impressive in a dark way. They were trying to rewrite ownership by repeating new vocabulary fast enough that people would accept it. I drove straight to county records. Tom Alvarez, an older records tech with reading glasses hanging from his shirt pocket, pulled my parcel chain and found the easement in under 5 minutes. He stamped certified copies and tapped the exact line with his pen. Perpetual ingress and egress. He said active, not released, not terminated. I scanned everything in the parking lot and emailed Karen. Subject line, certified easement record. Immediate removal requested. Her response came in 7 minutes. The association does not recognize this document. Not we dispute interpretation. Not our counsel is reviewing. Just no. The next evening I went back to the gate with hard copies and a witness, my neighbor Luke. Karen was already there with 2 board members and maintenance like they expected a performance. I held up the stamped pages and read the book and page aloud. Karen glanced at the first sheet, handed it back, and turned to maintenance, replaced the lock. He cut the old chain and installed a thicker lock while she watched me. No shouting, no scene. Just deliberate force wrapped in polite posture. 3 residents stood on the sidewalk pretending to check phones, but their eyes stayed on us. Nobody stepped in. Nobody asked a question. That night they posted an emergency meeting at the clubhouse, roadway security actions. Members only. I went anyway. A volunteer blocked the door with a laminated policy sheet and the kind of apology that says he agrees with you but likes his quiet life. Through the glass I could see Karen at the front table under recessed lighting pointer in hand, working the room. When the door opened for someone leaving, I heard one line clearly. If we lose that corridor, we lose boundary control. There it was, not safety, control. The following week they turned pressure into routine. Violation notices, fine increases, warning language about legal escalation and liens. I answered everything in writing. Certified letters, time-stamped photos, copies of county records, requests for statutory authority, requests for meeting minutes, requests for council opinion. They answered with policy handbook quotes and neighborhood rule references. Plenty of formatting, zero jurisdiction. My schedule got shredded. A feed delivery turned into a 2-hour detour. A contractor charged extra because he couldn't bring equipment the normal way. I burned half days fixing problems caused by a gate that had no legal right to exist. One night around 1 a.m., I sat at my kitchen table with cold coffee and a stack of violation notices fanned out like bad playing cards. For about 10 minutes, I considered a practical retreat, rent temporary access somewhere else, absorb costs, stop feeding this machine. Then I opened my dad's old file box and found a yellow divider tab in his handwriting. Access. Do not lose. Inside was a note he wrote after a wildfire year. Writes, "You stop defending, become permissions you have to beg for." That ended the debate in my head. Not drama, not ego, just clarity. Next morning, I called Rachel Dunn, a local property attorney known for being efficient and mean to bad paperwork. I sent her the full package: certified records emails, notice history photos, timestamps, witness names. She called back in 42 minutes. "Your easement is clean. Their obstruction is intentional. We stop arguing at the gate and move this into legal record." Monday at 8:31 a.m., we filed for injunctive relief and declaratory enforcement. We served the Homeowners Association Karen as board president and association counsel. By afternoon, Karen's tone changed. Her emails came through counsel, now full of phrases like temporary mitigation protocol and community welfare posture. Rachel replied with one question: produce legal authority for extinguishing or suspending recorded easement access. No response. Tuesday, they still sent another violation: hostile monitoring of association assets. Rachel grinned when she read it. Perfect exhibit. Keep it. Hearing day arrived fast and the room filled early. Residents from Willow Grove on one side, town folks and county staff on the other, 2 local reporters in the back row. Karen entered with counsel and 3 board members, same beige blazer, same rigid smile. I had a binder thick enough to stop a door. Rachel opened with documents, not speeches. Certified easement chain parcel map overlays, timeline exhibits, photos of lock replacement after notice, copies of every violation email. The clerk read the easement language into the record. Parcel identifiers, legal description, perpetual ingress and egress, no termination filing. The hearing officer asked the question that mattered most: is there any recorded release, vacation, or extinguishment? The clerk answered no. Clear, flat, final. Karen's attorney pivoted hard to safety: children on bikes, traffic concerns, liability exposure, board duty. The hearing officer cut through it. Safety policy cannot nullify recorded property rights absent lawful authority. Karen asked to speak. She said, "We acted in good faith to protect residents." The officer replied, "Good faith does not create jurisdiction." Then he looked at Rachel next. Rachel submitted photo sequence with timestamps showing the thicker lock installed after Karen received certified notice. The officer turned to Karen and asked, "Did your board replace lock hardware after notice of active easement?" Karen paused, looked at counsel, then answered, "We upgraded security infrastructure." The officer said yes or no. She said yes. You could hear pins stop moving in the room. Then came the order: immediate removal of all obstructions, immediate restoration of access, cease interference, suspend related fines pending review, non-compliance subject to sanctions. No one clapped. No one needed to. Outside the hearing room, Karen approached me in the hallway, voice low and tight. "This isn't over," she said. I held up the signed order and said, "For this road it is." Then I walked past her. Next sunrise, I drove to the gate. Chain gone. Oversized lock gone. The private sign removed so quickly it left bright rectangular marks where bolts had blocked sun and rain. A maintenance worker was patching holes in the post with epoxy eyes down no conversation. At the clubhouse bulletin board, the latest notice was short and sterile: gate control discontinued pending compliance. Karen stood in the lot on her phone posture, stiff, speaking quietly. No board circle around her, no volunteer checkpoint at the door. Same outfit, same planner, same keys. No command. I didn't stop for a speech. I didn't slow roll for effect. I drove straight through the reopened entrance and followed my father's road under pale morning light tires, tracking old lines through cedar shadow. The land looked normal again, which is exactly what justice looks like in real life. Not fireworks, just restored facts. What still gets me is how close they came. Not with force, not with law, but with speed, language, and confidence. They bet nobody would pull certified records. They bet nobody would ask for actual authority in writing. They bet official tone would beat actual ownership. That bet failed in public record, and once it failed there, everything else collapsed fast. If this ever happens to you, don't outshout them out. Document them. Keep every email. Photograph every change. Use certified mail. Demand authority, not explanations. Because intimidation sounds permanent. Right up until facts are stamped, filed, and read out loud.